Then we'll see other things. Okay, not other things, up to here only, this part only. Okay. Then we close today. So guys, please go through all any previous technical questions, any doubts in it, please. Already I told. Okay. Put it in a one pen and paper or maybe WhatsApp group. Don't send any personal messages. Okay. So we'll try to discuss that one, or either I will try to discuss one or two topics tomorrow. So okay. So we'll complete this Active Directory topic today. It take at least 15-20 minutes topic only. So don't worry, we'll complete it. And so just I need something which is like this. Servers and services. This is already saved. So I'm going to click on the one. Yeah, before that one I have to say, right? Active Directory. Guys, I'm audible, right? Speaker on or off? Okay, audible. Active Directory. What is this Active Directory? This Active Directory provide a directory services. What are these directory services? Is database service and authentication and authorization services. Active Directory database service, Active Directory database services, authentication and authorization services. So what is an Active Directory? Active Directory provide directory services. Two directory services, two services. What are the two services? Database service, authentication and authorization services. One second. Come on. Okay, just there is a rhyming. Okay, so where are we? So Active Directory, two services, database service, authentication and authorization services. Active Directory database service and others. Okay. So first one is database service, right? So what is this database? We already know database, what it is storing, identity of users, groups, computers, resources, and service information in the database. Second is Active Directory do authentication and authorization. So it is authenticate users when they log into the domain computer. When the user is accessing any domain resources, it authenticate and authorize the user to access. Okay. So that is two services of Active Directory. Okay. So as I said, Active Directory database. So database means there is a file, right? So database file is there. The file name is NTDS.DIT. The file name is NTDS.DIT. New technology, directory service, directory information tree. That is Active Directory database file name. Next is, as said, Active Directory authenticate users when they log in, right? When they log in or when they're accessing any resources, when they log into domain computers or when they log into access resources, it authenticate and authorize that user to access them. To do that one, it uses a protocol called Kerberos. 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 Okay, port number is 88. And also it uses LDAP protocol 389 for authentication and authorization. It uses both protocols. So mainly it is Kerberos protocol, Windows Microsoft. Okay. So these are the main points of your Active Directory. One more is, that is your Active Directory having a kind of structure. There is a Active Directory structure is there. In the structure, we have a forest, child, three domains also. Okay, this is a Active Directory structure is like this. Okay. Additionally, guys, Active Directory is a Microsoft service. The Active Directory concept only in the Microsoft Windows servers, not in the Linux or Unix concept. So only belongs to Microsoft. That's why in a server side, a lot of servers, a Linux server is there. We discuss with difference between Windows and Linux differences and all. So we have a lot of Linux-based, Unix-based servers also available. Use it for different services purpose. But why it is still Microsoft? Because one powerful centralized authentication system provided by Microsoft, that is Active Directory services. This Active Directory services introduced in Windows Server 2000. In Windows Server 2000, Active Directory services are introduced. And it is also there in 2003. Okay, Active Directory services introduced in 2000. It is next version 2003 also Active Directory. So after 2003, there is 2008 servers came. In 2008 onwards, 2008 and 2008 onwards, that Active Directory name is changed to Active Directory Domain Services. There is no difference between Active Directory and Active Directory Domain Services. Only name is changed. So why name change? Because in 2008, not only Active Directory Domain Services, also there is other Active Directory based, means based on this architecture, other services also introduced. Active Directory certification services, Active Directory right management services, Active Directory lightweight directory services, Active Directory federation services. So these are all introduced along with your Active Directory domain services. So that's why this, instead of putting only Active Directory, they put an Active Directory domain service. This is a domain related services. Federation services is single sign-on process related services. Through entire forest, single sign-in process. Okay. So right management, access related things to entire forest related. So that is just a name change. Okay. So this is about your Active Directory. What is an Active Directory? Active Directory provide directory services, Active Directory database, authentication and authorization services. Active Directory database. One second. Active Directory database contains users, domain, users, groups, computers, resources, information. So Active Directory authenticate and authorize when the user is log into the domain computers and accessing domain resources. Active Directory database name is NTDS.DIT, New Technology Directory Services Directory Information Tree. Active Directory authenticate users, that protocol is Kerberos protocol and LDAP protocol also to use it. Okay. Active Directory is basically Microsoft service. It's available in the Microsoft servers only. It is introduced in the 2003, 2000 server. This Active Directory name changed to Active Directory Domain Services in the 2008 Act. Active Directory architecture contains forest, tree, child domain. This is the about Active Directory. What is this picture and all? So I will explain that. So up to here, this is the Active Directory. Okay, straight questions, straight answer, guys. Straight questions, straight answer. What is an Active Directory? If you they go beyond, like more than Active Directory, what is a OU? Okay, what is a OU? What is a group policy? What is group policy? Already I told. Group policy means we can enforce various types of settings to large number of users and computers using group policy settings. Okay, we create a group policy and specify the required settings in the group policy. So that policy are in the domain controller. So it is that based on that policy settings, that settings will be enforced on users and computers in the domain. Okay, so that is what is group policy. Other than that one, any question that is not at all required, it is out of your boundary, it's become system administrator things. If anyone is interested to learn system administrator like Windows Server administrator, in my YouTube, there are a lot of old videos are there for CTS training videos are there. You can see Bash 7, B7, B11, B2. Okay, old what is that? It is playlist are there. Go to that one, you can learn Windows servers. Okay, Windows, Linux, you can learn it. Okay, all publicly available. You can. Recent batches only publicly not available. All old batches content is publicly available. If you're interested, you can learn it. Okay. So if I want to teach, then it is chargeable. That's a different one. Right now, we are not doing that one anyway. So what is the continuity? Okay. Actually, when I said Active Directory is introduced in Windows Server 2000. Before 2000 server, there is a Windows NT server is also there. Before 2000 server, there is a Windows NT server also there. So when I say that's it is divided domain kind of concept to the Active Directory. Why? Because this domain concept, everything is introduced in the Windows NT server only. Okay, Windows NT server. In Windows NT server, it's not Active Directory. So we call that first domain controller as PDC. And for supporting means for a failover and load balancing purpose, we have a second domain controller called a BDC, backup domain controller. Next. And we are using a database, the database name called a SAM database. Okay, SAM database. So database. Okay, in Windows NT server, the database is SAM database. So in Active Directory, it's Active Directory database. Okay, and authentication in NT server time, what is the authentication protocol is NTLM authentication. Network LAN, new technology LAN manager, NTLM authentication or authenticate users and computers. Okay, so these are the details of Windows. But why we are not using Windows NT, that SAM database, domain, PDC, BDC right now? Why we are going to new update version called Active Directory? So we'll see that one. So this is a triangle. The triangle here representation of domain, and this is representation of domain controller. So this is a domain. For example, my domain name is simpletata.com. Tata, sorry, no data, no hierarchical structures are there. Tata is one of the first domain started, and this is a domain controller, first primary domain controller for supporting traditional domain controller. So domain controller, domain controller, and in the domain we have users, groups, computers. and domain computers also there. This is one domain, one organization, one domain. Later, Tata started another business, right? For example, just because Tata is quite easy to tell, we have a certain services clearly we can understand as compared to other organizations. Tata started Tata Steel. Okay. For example, Tata Steel, another organization from the Tata organization. So they have a domain name is Tata Steel and a domain controller, another organization. Okay. Again, the Tata started another business. Okay. So example, Tata Motors. Okay. This is Tata domain, Tata Motors domain. Okay, we'll take another domain. So we well-known one is TCS. We'll take the TCS. TCS. This is TCS domain. Right. So we have a domains, right? Now, what happened here? For example, this Tata Motors need some information. So then they go to access certain data or information from TataSteel.com, Tata Steel domain. So the resource, the source information or a document or maybe a submission is available in the Tata Steel domain. So the Tata Motors user required to access that one. So what we do, we create a trust relationship between these two domains. We create a trust relationship. And in the trust relation, we specify Tata Motors user can log into Tata Motors, Tata Steel domain and access the Tata Steel resources. So that is, we create a trust relationship between two domains here. After some time, again, the TCS person needs some information from Tata Motors. Again, we have to create another trust relationship. Again, TCS person need to access some information or resources from Tata Steel. మీరు ఎలా వెళ్తున్నారు వచ్చారు Okay, so TCS person want to log into Tata Steel. So what happened? Again, another trust relationship. Again, main person is this one, right? Tata want to access information from any of this domain. Again, new trust relationship has to be created. Because these are individual domains and there is no relationship, and we have to create a relationship by creating trusted relationship. This is a old NT time architecture. Okay, so this architecture is replaced by our Active Directory architecture. In Active Directory architecture, so first we created a domain. In Active Directory, we created a domain, and there is a domain controller. So when you create a domain means there is a domain controller. And the domain, first domain it is, and I created this domain name is like Tata.com. Hierarchical structure is there. And this is the first one called a root domain. Root domain I created. So when you create a first domain, means root domain, means you are already created a forest. Forest means here it is a concept called a enterprise. Not individual organizations, it is an enterprise. Forest means it's an enterprise. Enterprise administrator. And you created a first domain. Then forest is created, Tata Forest is created. It's our Tata.com is our root domain is created, forest level domain. So full authority control is also there. And then next, then your organizations are added. Okay, so multiple organizations are added. each organization having their own domain controllers, right? Organizations are created means individual organizations are having their own domain and domain controller. But all are belongs to Tata, so obviously it is under Tata.com. It's under forest only. These are called a free domains. So here I put a Tata Motors, Tata, Tata Steel, Tata, TCS, Tata. Okay, so like that. So these are individual organizations. There are organizations under Tata, under the same forest. So they share common schema, common rules, certain common rules, common schema is there. So what are these things? These are called a free domains. These are all free domains in the forest. Free domains. So why I left this part? This is, I want to make it as a child domain. Okay. HYD dot Tata field. Another domain is a subdomain of some domain. This child domain, this is a child domain having the parent name. So just for understanding that I created a child domain concept. This is a child domain. Okay. Child domains can be created under root domain or tree domain or any other child domains also. Okay. So this is a forest. Under forest, we have a domains. Okay. Under forest, we have a domain controllers. Within the forest, domains are trust each other. So no need to create trusted relationships here. Because all are in the same forest, there are trust each other. And this forest create a logical boundary. So from this forest and another forest is separate. It won't allow any other forest to access you. If you want, you can create a trust relationship, but still it is, so the forest, it is a security boundary. Forest is a security boundary. Within the forest, all domains are trust each other. All domains are trust each other. Users can access any resources from any other domains in the forest. Of course, there is a conditions, but still they can. Okay. So they maintain a global catalog server. This global catalog server contains all domains, users, groups, computers, information in the global catalog server. So users can log into another system, no problem, another domains. Okay, no problem. Global catalog will tell you which user it is, from where, which domain it is, how to log in, authentication process, you can get. Okay, so this is the architecture of Active Directory. In AD Active Directory, this is Active Directory architecture. Okay, so what is the database name? Active Directory database. What is authentication? Kerberos authentication we are using. And the concept called PDC, BDC we used earlier, but in a 2008 onwards, we changed it. Okay, we used this PDC, BDC earlier in NT 2000, 2003 also. In 2008 server onwards, we changed PDC name to DC only. And there is a BDC, backup domain controller, change it to additional domain controller. Additionally, one more domain controller is introduced called RODs, read-only domain controller. Okay. So this is about your Active Directory Okay. Yeah. So don't worry about this entire information, guys. What you need information for Active Directory is up to here only. Don't require all this information at the time of entry. But just I want to add why these many names, many things, differences. So simple to say, what is a domain controller? Domain controller is a server. Okay. What is domain controller? Domain controller is a server. It's a Windows server. In this domain controller, we installed Active Directory or Active Directory domain services role and configure it. It's become domain controller. We take a Windows server, it's a server. And install a Active Directory or Active Directory domain services and you configured it, it become domain controller. In this domain controller, we have a directory database where you are adding users, groups, computers, information. Okay, whenever these users are login and this domain controller authenticate that user. That is a server duty. Then what is the domain? Domain is a logical administrative boundary of users and computers. Okay. So Active Directory is a service running in the domain controller. Okay. Active Directory is a directory service where it is running in domain controller. Domain is a a logical boundary, and there is a domain name. What is a domain name? Those just a name only. So I am belongs to this 70s organization. So 70s has a name, right? I am belongs to an organization is not a right? You are belongs to a college or you are belongs to some. So like that, these systems are belongs to a domain. Which domain? That domain name. That's it. Okay. And of course, these domain names also unique. That means domain names should not be repeated. So only belongs to the organization name. Okay. That's a domain. So this is about your active. That's it for today, guys. Yeah, one more point. So yeah, you want to add a client, right? So I'm adding my client to domain. Your systems, check it your system operating system. If it is like a Windows 10 or Windows 11 home editions, see the edition. If it is home editions, we can't join to the domain. You can't join into the domain. Even if you have a domain controller in your network, you can't join. So which systems can we join into the domain is those systems like their desktop or laptop, whatever the version it is, but edition must be pro or enterprise editions only. Those systems only we can able to join into the domain. Okay, before joining to domain, make sure that your client system and server domain controller should be communicated. Then we can join in this client to domain. So this is your part of server. So that entire nodes what we have discussed, servers and services, DHCP, DNS, Active Directory, everything in your current running nodes only, guys. If in case, just in case you are missing, start and something on 28th. On 28th, someone people are having. Okay, so where are this? This is the document, yes. Okay. Technicals is scheduled for these people on 28th. So today is 18, 19, 20, 20 means Saturday. Okay. So your syllabus is completed, guys. Almost all completed. Only this first part completed, second part also completed. So tomorrow we'll go with the certain third part. So meanwhile, go through all previous batch questions. Ask sir, your batch people got certain questions. Previous batch also got certain questions. Take all the collection of questions. If you have a doubt or thing, put in a group. All the questions put it in a group. Okay, so you can able to discuss. If you have a doubt or you want an answer for certain question, I will provide it. So please prepare basic things importantly. What is the BIOS, BSOD, what is a keyboard is not working, your system configurations, what is RAM and ROM differences, hard disk and SSD. Basic things first prepare, then you can prepare anything. Make mainly recent batch questions. Recent your batch also attend, some people attend interview. Ask them what questions are asked. Put in only, don't send us. What questions asked for the people who are attending and previous batches. Take all the question, practice that questions first. Okay. Communication is important, technicality also important. I think that's it. Okay. Guys, anything? Anyone body want to say anything? Last words? So stop the record time. Some people